Hello, everybody. Welcome to Personality Speaking, where the tea is always hot. My name is Karen Ward. I'm an advanced certified personality trainer and speaker. I'm a personality coach and the author of the book, Couple for Life, Overcoming Personality Differences in Marriage. I hope you get your copy. This show airs every Wednesday evening live on 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The show is dedicated to helping you build healthier, stronger relationships through the understanding of the personalities. The personalities was developed by the world-renowned and late Florence Littauer, who talked about 4 personality styles. There was the popular Sanguine, which I am, that's my primary, and the powerful Choleric, which is my secondary. And both of those are your extroverted personality styles, which means you get your energy from other people. Then your 2 introverted personality styles are the perfect Melancholy and the peaceful Phlegmatic. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about those personality styles so you can get a kind of sense of who you are in this process. And then I'm going to introduce you. Well, first, I'm going to introduce you to my guest, and then I'll give you a little bit of an introduction on the personalities. And then we can get into some hot topics here. My guest tonight, I have 3 gentlemen. One is popping on soon. That's going to be here talking about themselves. Oh, well, I didn't add Mr. Roche on the screen. Sorry about that. They're going to be giving an account of how they feel about different personalities. I mean, different relationships, right? Their personalities in relationships. Forgive me. All right. So let's talk a little bit about who these gentlemen are. The name of the show tonight is Men Unveiled. That means we're going to get some secrets. We're going to understand the male's perspective on relationships. So Men Unveiled, navigating relationships and personalities. Whew, I bring the personality and these guys bring their expertise. So let's tell you who they are. First, we have Bryson Roche, and he's Pastor Bryson Roche. He's a devoted and dedicated servant leader and man of God, balancing his successful career with his roles as a loving husband and a father of 4. Woo, you got your hands full. I know the night I met you, you had this beautiful little baby girl.
Yeah.
Raised with a strong foundation of faith and morals by his parents, he initially resisted his call to ministry. However, a series of tragic losses in 2013 led him to a profound encounter with Jesus Christ, prompting him to fully embrace his calling.
Yeah.
In 2021, during the pandemic, Bryson founded the thriving men's ministry HIT, Hope in the Trenches. Yes, we need some hope in the trenches.
Right.
To empower men, encourage healing, exemplify faith, and equip leaders. He also serves on the preaching team at Engaged Community Church, ICC, sharing the message of hope in Jesus Christ with a loving community. With unwavering dedication to God and his family, Bryson's mission remains clear: to lead people with the enduring hope of Jesus Christ. Woo! Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Herb Ruffin Jr. And Herb is not on camera. Can you be on camera, or are you going to come on later? Herb, can you hear me? Not sure he can hear me. But anyway, Herb Ruffin Jr. is a product of the DC, PG County area. So am I. I was born in DC and raised in PG County, which is a vibrant community, right? As a graduate of Bowie State University and an HBCU, my son graduated from an HBCU, and so did my daughter. He brings over 16 years of invaluable experience in retail and government management to his career. Herb's standout quality is his exceptional leadership skills. See, this kind of stuff tells you about a personality, because cholerics are born leaders. So you probably got a little bit of choleric in you. And his unwavering passion for helping others has earned him numerous promotions and accolades throughout his professional journey. Currently, he serves at FEMA, where he plays a crucial role in assisting individuals affected by natural and other disasters across the United States. Yeah, we just had some bad weather recently. Beyond his professional life, he treasures moments spent with his wife of almost 7 years as of next month. Now, her October is our anniversary too. When is yours? Can you hear me?
Yes. How you doing? How are you?
I'm great. When is your
Good.
anniversary?
It's October 8th.
Ours is the 14th, so we right the next week behind you.
Yeah.
All right, so let me finish you up. You have 3 beautiful or wonderful children. You actively participate in volunteer opportunities at your church, which is also my church, First Baptist Church of Glenarden, with our illustrious Pastor Jenkins.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're also on the leadership team of HIT.
Yes.
So welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Okay, Bryson. Now we're gonna meet Bryant. Bryant Bolden is a proud resident of PG County. Everybody's in PG with me. Currently residing in Northern Virginia. Bryant has been happily married to, and Bryant, correct me if it's wrong, is it Letitia or Letitia?
Yes. Letitia.
Okay. Letitia Bolden for 8 years. And together they are proud parents of 5 wonderful children. What? Y'all having some babies around here. It's that, and if I get any names wrong, just correct me. But Heaven, Ethan, who is a cancer survivor, Grayson, Kennedy, and Braylon.
Yes.
Professionally, Bryant excels as a property manager in the DC area. His dedication to his career is paralleled by his commitment to his faith community. He is also an active member of Crossroads Baptist Church. Crossroads. Okay. He also serves on the leadership board of HIT. Bryant and Letitia's journey together spans 12 years. Go ahead. Marked by trials and triumphs. Don't we all have trials and triumphs? Throughout it all, their unwavering commitment to communication and consistency has been the cornerstone of this successful marriage. Despite their diverse backgrounds, varying parenting styles, and unique love languages, they embrace life's lessons with resilience and grace. We need a lot of grace to go through this marriage journey, right, fellas?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Welcome, sir. Welcome to all 3 of you. Thank you all for being here tonight, trying to, for us to be able to pull back the veil so people can understand what a man thinks about marriage and about relationships. So thank you for being here tonight.
Right. No problem.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
You're so welcome. So I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions, and we're going to flow together and answer. I ask that you give each other, do it like 1 or 2 minutes on your answers to give each other a chance to comment on all the questions. If you go a little longer, it's fine. I know how to calm the pastors down. All right, so let's first talk about you all are married, right? We know how long you've been married.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about first your personality style. Like, are you extroverts or introverts? I mean, give me a little bit. I heard, Brian, you're a leader and you excel in leadership. So tell me a little bit about your personality first.
Yes, my personality is very, I am an extrovert, 100%. I thrive off other people's energy. I thrive off of meeting new people, just having great dialogue, conversation with others. I'm very outgoing, very, a people person. So it allows me to interact with people on different levels, all kinds of people, especially when you've seen a lot and you've done a lot. It's a good way to, in a sense, be able to connect with people on a personal level. So for me, I'm 100% extrovert, and my wife is an introvert. you know. And
I love it.
so, you know, it's kind of a tricky situation because, you know, when I want to be spontaneous and do, you know, other things and, you know, just experience, you know, like different stuff that we could do together, you know, it's more of a, you know, okay, that's cool. You know, it's like, you know, she's very,
No
you know, it's
excitement.
very, yeah, you know, it's very introvert, but nevertheless, we have great times together, and it's yeah. So for me, it's definitely extrovert, 100%.
So I picked that
Absolutely.
up in your bio because sanguine personalities like me are, and you apparently, it sounds like you might be a sanguine.
Yeah.
You are probably a person that is engaging and you draw people to you, and you can get people to probably do almost anything you want them to do. You're probably very influential. But not only that, on the choleric side, which is maybe one of your personality styles, cholerics are born leaders. They're movers and shakers. They're very accomplished, and they are, like I said, they're born leaders. So when I hear leaders, strong leaders, normally that tends to mean that you are a choleric personality style. So thank you for sharing that. And
Absolutely.
thank you for telling me about your wife being an introvert, because we'll talk a
Mhm.
little bit about those dynamics as we get a little bit further in. So
Mhm.
Herb, take this up off from you and tell me a little bit about your personality style.
Yeah, so I'm actually more of a phlegmatic myself.
Oh, okay.
With my second form would probably be sanguine as well. So yeah, I found ways to balance
Mhm.
the two, you know, through marriage. I think I was a different level phlegmatic when I first
Uh-huh.
got married to
Right.
what I am now, but I've definitely found better ways to manage it. So I'm definitely more of a extrovert for sure. My wife is a little more introverted.
So that's interesting because my daughter is a phlegmatic sanguine as well.
Mm,
So you could be at home, a phlegmatic is an introvert, and that personality is cool, calm, collected, a chill personality style, right?
yes.
And then the sanguine is bigger than life. The sanguine is you know, let's have fun, let's have a ball, but both of those personality styles are both social. The
Hmm.
phlegmatic is social in smaller groups, and the sanguine is social in larger groups. So
Hmm.
when you see that dynamic in one person, my daughter would say, like, I remember when she was young, she's now 30 years old. But when she was young, she would say, her friends, she'll have a few of her friends come over for the weekend and she'll say, it's time for them to go, mommy. So she had enough. But as an adult, after she hit puberty, she was the party girl. Like it
Mhm.
was all about the party, you know. So it's so interesting to see those two dynamics in one individual.
Hmm. And mine, to be honest with you, they're fairly close. Like the few times I've done the test, I even did one, a few days ago just to kind of recap myself with it. And I
Mhm.
literally one of them was 18 and one was 17. So it was
Yeah,
very
yeah.
close. It was very close.
Yeah, mine was 2017. So mine was just like, so in other words, you flip flop
Yes,
between them based on a set of circumstances.
exactly. Yep.
Pastor Bryson,
What's
how
going
are you
on?
tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. Thank you for having us again, man. It's an honor.
You're so welcome. So tell us
Yeah.
about your personality style
So for me, I'm a sanguine all the way.
all the way.
Yeah, I'm outgoing. I'm spontaneous. Like if I see a person, I see an opportunity, you know, to build another relationship. So for me, I'm a sanguine, right? But I also think I got just a little dab of the chloric, right? You know, you
Yeah.
gotta put a little dab of sugar in there. So I got that. I'm gonna sweeten it up with a little bit of that caloric. You know what I'm saying? So I
No,
think
no,
that's
no.
the perfect
Let me
mix
tell
for
you
me.
something. You're sweetening that choleric up with the sanguine. That choleric could be something. It could be a bitter pill to
I,
swallow.
yeah, I know. That's why I said when I looked into it, I said, "Nah, I'm definitely a sanguine." But I think for me, also, I consider myself a leader, man. I'm a leader, but
Yeah.
you know, so that's why I say I would definitely say I'm a caloric as well, to a little bit, you know.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So what I know too is that sanguines and cholerics are both leaders, right?
Hmm.
We just lead differently. The sanguine is more engaging. They're more, let's do this together. We can make this happen together. It's, it's
Hmm.
a collaboration type of leadership. Where
Right.
the choleric is more strategic. It's about, there's a way to do things. It's my way.
So you know what? I might want to
Absolutely.
change a little bit.
Absolutely.
I think I'm all the way sanguine.
There's
Yeah.
only one way to do things is my way.
Yeah.
That choleric.
You know, I've never, I never did the actual assessment, but so when you sent it, as soon as I read the first line, I was like, okay, I don't even need to read the rest. You know, it's no point. You know, sanguine all the way, but then chlor. I mean, it's right up there as well. But this was really good though.
Well, I'm glad. And I love finding this kind of thing out because I think the more you understand about who you are, the better you are as an individual, the better you are as a husband and a father, the better you are in the workplace, and in the world. You show up differently when you understand how you were hardwired. Okay. So that's why I do the show, is because I think it bridges understanding, and people will start to, I always say your personality is the lens by which you view the world, right? So if it's a lens by which you view the world, it's your lens, not somebody else's lens. But we tend to look at other people the way we see the world. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do the show, because I want to make sure people understand each other better. So let's get into some other things. I love learning more about you. I think it's really interesting to know. Oh, did you say, Pastor Bryson, your wife, what do you think she is?
So my wife, I would really say that my wife is probably is a phlegmatic, more the ones that's kind of laid back, reserved.
Yes, cool, calm, and collected. Yeah.
Like she has to, like, you give her something, like she wants to think it through, so you can't just give her a thought like without being prepared. Like like you have to come prepared saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do, XYZ, because she's a planner,
Oh, she's a melancholy. She might be both melancholy and phlegmatic, both introverted personality styles. The melancholy is a planner. They're analytical. They have to have a plan. So it's like, they're the people who say to you, give me your 2-year, your 5-year, your 10-year plan. Right. And the same ones are saying, well, what is that? Why do we have to give you a plan? We don't know if we want to do that 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years. We're flowing in the moment.
I just know that she doesn't want.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, I just know that she doesn't want you to come without a plan, because she doesn't want to get anxious. She don't want, that will cause some anxiety there,
Yeah, so. Because the the extroverted personality styles, we fly by the seat of our pants. We're very spontaneous. Even the sanguine is saying YOLO. You only live once, right? So let's live life to the fullest. Let's be spontaneous. Let's do what we want to do. The choleric is saying, let's be strategic about what we do, but I'm going to do what I want to do. And if it costs us some money, I'll figure that thing out and make some more money. But we're going to do what I want to do, right? The melancholy is saying, let's plan this thing out. Let's understand where we're going, what it's going to cost us, how we're going to get there, what's the impact to everybody. And the phlegmatic say, let's chill. Let's relax. Everything's going to work out just fine. So that's kind of your personalities in a nutshell. And so your wife is probably the melancholy phlegmatic. She's chill, but she says, come to me. When you come to me with a plan and not lip service, I hear you. But when you start just saying, oh, I want to, let's go, go out of the country next year. Well, how are we going to get there? How much is going to cost? How long will it take us to plan for this trip? Where do we want to stay? What research are we doing? What vaccinations do we need? Yeah. They're doing all of that.
Like, for example, she always says, like, you got to think about the what ifs. And I'm like, I'm not there. I'm just seeing the vision, so that's right.
And I love it though, because it's one of the things I talk about. And I said, I'm going to talk a little bit about this later. I'm doing a marriage workshop in November. And so this series that I'm doing on marriages every Wednesday up until the show is going to be about marriage. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want people to get a feel for what we're going to be talking about in the workshop. Because I want people to know that you can have a successful marriage. You can be coupled for life as long as you understand who you are, how you're wired, and how you can balance your personality with that of your mate, right? And so that's the reason why I'm doing this, is because I want you guys to talk about how you are as husbands, how you are, how you show up in the relationship through your personalities. So let's get started, because I really want to talk about how you met your spouses, because that really gives me a little insight too. So let's talk with you, Brian, first. How did you meet your wife?
um, so I actually met Letitia at Lux Lounge in DC. And what's so crazy is I was I wasn't even supposed to be there. I had a friend who couldn't get in because of what he had on, and I was like, okay, you know what? We were here last week. I don't do the club thing twice in a row. I don't get there before you're like one. I'm like, look, I'm trying to dip. Let's go in there for 30 minutes, 45, and let's just leave. And I saw her, and I asked my friend, like, oh, what you think about her? He was like, yeah, she looked cool. She looked good. I was like, okay. So I went and talked to her. And as soon as I, asked her name and went up to her and introduced myself, it was, what is your name? What are your goals? Like, what?
Wow.
And I was like, wait a minute. I just wanted your number. I didn't ask for 21 questions right now. I'm like, we got the music going on right here. And I'm just like, that wasn't the purpose of this. But, it was just like 21 questions, and it was different.
Yeah.
It was just, it was different. And she was different from what I would normally, or who I would normally deal with. Or so she had this like innocence about her. And it was like that introvert, like she's in a corner by herself, not dancing. She's with her friends on the wall. And I'm like, okay. And then from there, it turned into us going out, us having, a good time. And what's funny is, the Lord, I believe, truly puts people in your life that that gives you a wake-up call. Because I've always told myself I would never talk to a woman who I met in the club. I would never talk to a woman from Baltimore, and I would just never talk to a woman with a child. And she had a child before we were together, and here we are, four kids, 5 kids later. So that's actually how we met.
It kind of speaks to when they say when we make plan, God laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I will never. He said, yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Yeah, God definitely has a sense of humor, because but it was great. And then the more we conversed and the more we hung out with each other, we were so different that it was so interesting to me. Like, it captivated me to the point, because we were so different. It wasn't what I was used to. So as they say, opposites attract. So
Opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
until they don't.
Exactly. So her being from Virginia, she had a different aspect of life than I did living in PG County. We had two different dynamics of growing up. So that also was very interesting to me. So she had a lot of qualities that were very interesting. Besides the physical looks, it was a lot of different other qualities that allowed me to be attracted to her in that capacity.
I love that. My husband's from DC and I'm from Maryland, so we had a little bit of a cultural difference there too. So I understand that. Herb, tell me how you met your wife.
Sure. So we actually dated in the early 2000s, kind of around our college years. We went to the same high school for a few years, but didn't really know each other much then. I'm a little bit older than her. But then we actually attended the same college, and we kind of met through a friend, dated for a few years. Truth be told, I wasn't ready to be settled down much back then. And we separated for some years, almost 7 to 8 years actually. And then actually ran into each other somewhere and kind of reconnected, started dating again. This second time around, we ended up taking a class called So You Think You Want to Get Married.
Oh yeah, that's a class
at the church, and I went into the class kicking and screaming. To be honest with you, I didn't really think it was a point to take it. She kind of went in saying, "Well, hey, if we take this class, maybe we'll be together by the end, or maybe we won't. Whichever way it works out, that's what it is." By the time we took the class and completed it, I really had at that point made the decision that I was going to ask her to marry me. You know,
Oh, wow.
so it was a, it was a blessing. A lot of things started kind of coming in line with how we were connected. My mother taught at the high school. Her dad went to, back in high school. So it was a lot of connections, to be honest with you. So once we started doing that, she really helped to open my eyes. I always had a church upbringing. I grew up in the church, a very family-oriented church. Even still to this day, if anybody from that church, if you run into each other, whether you're there or not, it's still family. It's still
Right.
like family. So even now, we talk all the time about how kind of the church brought us together, and I feel like dealing with her and coming into being engaged and being married. Us taking these classes, a lot of the classes that we take, because we've taken multiple ones since that one. They've helped to really help our marriage a lot.
I think that's excellent. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story, Bryson. So tell us how you met your wife.
Oh man, I met my wife in college, and so it was a little funny because I was actually interested in another young lady, and I had a friend of mine. He was talking to the other young lady's roommate. And so we was like, all right, well, let's go see him. We went over to the house. I had been probably talking to her like a week and a half. We went over, not the house, but their apartment, right? They had an off-campus apartment at Delaware State. And we go over there, and I'm there. And then I had another friend that was with us. So it was three of us all together. I had another friend who was, I tell him all the time, I'm like, man, you was blocking, bro. What I said that, I know what we say before that, but it was like, you really blocking, because he was trying to talk to that young lady I had been talking to for like a week or two or whatever. So out of nowhere, to my right, because we're laughing, joking and all that, sitting down, but to my right is the bathroom. And I see somebody come out of the bathroom. It just kind of startled me because I just thought it was a 2-bedroom apartment. Ended up being a 4-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
My wife comes out of the bathroom, right? And I'm like, who is that? At first, I'm like, who is that? Like, and the young lady says, well, that's my roommate, and she was like, you want me to introduce you? I was like, because the way I asked was like, who was that? Like, and she was like, yeah, like, introduce me. And so she came out into the living room, and she had her bonnet on. She had like no, she didn't have no bonnet on, but she had a hair wrap on, some velour sweatpants, like, little house clothes or whatever. And it was crazy because I was not as spiritually mature, nowhere near spiritually as mature as I am now. I can tell you, I was just a believer. That was it, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because as soon as we shook hands, that was the first time I can honestly tell you, I heard the voice of God. And the word that he gave me was, this is your wife. And the funny thing behind that was my friend who I was with, soon as she just went back in the room that whole night, I was like, that's my wife. Like, I'm going to marry her. Like, that's my wife. That's my wife. And we walking home, and he was like, man, if you don't shut up, like, you just met her, you talking about you going to marry her.
So, especially since she was talking to her roommate for a week and a half.
And I completely forgot, because matter of fact, with the roommate, she was like, well, I got a boyfriend in Barbados. I was like, well, you know how we do. We could be friends. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right. But no, that went nowhere. I was like, that's my wife right there, right?
Wow.
And we get home that night, wake up the next morning, I go to class. And I'm getting out of class, and it was a 2-story building. So I'm about to walk down the stairwell. And you know how you can kind of like have that, it's like that part where you can see over.
Yeah.
Like the overpass. And so I see her sitting down on one of the benches. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, that's her right there. Like this.
With no head wrap.
Nothing, right? Just fully dressed. And I'm like, that's her right there. So I go downstairs, and I come up on her. I'm like, Lauren, right? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, Bryson. I said, yeah. Now, mind you, I had the whole PG County attire on. I had a Bonadachi shirt on, some New Balances. So she was like, are you from PG County? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I am too. I'm from Fort Washington. I said, oh, yeah, this has got to be it. This is it, Lord. Like,
this is my wife.
This is it. Because I knew. And, I always play because we actually talked so much, like for about 3 hours that day. I walked her to her. She had an on-campus job, walked her to her on-campus job. And I said, man, we literally have never stopped talking since that point. But the thing of it was because she's older than me, she saw me like it was crazy because we would hang out, we would do all this stuff, like hang out and have fun and go on little dates and stuff. But she was like, yeah, you're like little brother. I'm like, oh, okay. You know.
Oh, so she had friends zoned you.
Yeah, she friends on me. But the thing of it was, you see where I'm at now.
That's right. 4 babies later.
Yeah, man. So it's crazy because we were at 2 different points of our life because she was in her last year of college. I was just coming in.
Yeah.
You know, I played football. When she left and went home, you know, I would come home on the breaks or whatnot. And I want to say around 2012, that's when I really noticed things kind of like really getting serious. I think, B, you remember we went on that trip to Miami, and it was like,
absolutely.
It was either the trip to Miami or when she planned a birthday for me. I just really seen something different, and I just seen the possibilities of things. So yeah, man, that's how we met, man. It was pretty fun to say the least. I always tell her, I say, I'm 37 now. I said, man, I've known you longer than I know myself. You know, because I met her when I was 18. You know what I'm saying?
True, right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love all of your stories because I think it's important to kind of look at what drew you to your spouse. Like my husband and I met, and the first day we met, we never stopped talking.
Yeah.
And we met at a restaurant bar type of place through another friend of mine. That's how we actually met. But from that point on, you know, we never stopped talking. It was just that connection you knew you had that was different than any other connection. And I think what drew me to him is his sense of humor, because I love funny people, right? Yeah. I love comedy anywhere. If you ask me what movie I'm going to, I want to see a comedy or Avengers, okay?
Amen.
I'm sci-fi for life. So, but he used to make me laugh so much, and he still does to this day. We still look at each other and crack up laughing because of something stupid one or the other says. So that's what drew me to his personality, right? And so that's why I was really interested. So Bryson, I know you said that when you saw her, you was like, who is that? So what drew you to her was her looks, but what about her personality captivated you?
I think, you know, about her personality, because she was reserved and she was just so chill, you know, it was like, it was the balance for me, you know,
right.
And I just knew, like, I'm the one that could talk to everybody. We, like, still to this day, if I go to the store, I'm at the cash register talking to the people at the cash register, like I've known them for years. Yep. And and she always said that, she's like,
she
man,
be annoying for them.
Yeah, she's like, you act like you know these people, but it was like she had the perfect balance, like, and I think like being with her, it just was for me, it was the perfect match. It was the perfect aroma for me. Yeah, it was like she calmed me down, especially during that period of time, because I was actually playing football and, you know, trying to figure things out, and I think she, like, just hanging with her just really calmed me down.
Yes, and ground you when you have the opposite. Sometimes it grounds you or you ground the other person. So I want to talk a little bit about, because this hour is going to go so fast. We're already halfway through the hour. Can you believe that already? It's going to go so fast. So I really want to hit some good topics, right? One of the things I want to talk about, did you all have any significant challenges or obstacles that you had to face in your relationships, and how you were able to overcome that? And I want you to think about as it relates to personality. So, you know, if somebody doesn't handle finances well because it stresses them out when the money is tight, or because you're very friendly, like, you know, I'm very friendly, my husband's very friendly. Sometimes women take that wrong. You know, like, what obstacles or challenges that you go through in your relationships that kind of feels like personality? And I'm going to help kind of break down the personality part of it. So let's start with you, Brian.
Oh, man. Yeah, so we've had quite a few different challenges or obstacles that we had to get through within our marriage. And it was only because we didn't understand each other's personalities. You know, me and my wife we'll be the first ones to tell you, we never really got a chance to be friends in our marriage, because when I first met my wife, I envisioned what I wanted to happen with her. You know, so I had my own purpose. You know, I had my own goals. Now, of course, life has, you know, shifted those goals, and we became more than that. But in the beginning, it was us dating. It was us just, you know, chilling. And that's what all I thought it was going to be, until it became something more. But the problem was, we had, when she got pregnant, you know, in my mind, it's like, I got to take care of my responsibilities. I want to be with the mother of my children. I don't want to be no baby father. I don't got time for that. So, you know, we did what was right. Not saying we didn't have fun together, but we never really got a chance to dissect one another's personalities, where we could be best friends with each other, where we could actually grow and, you know, experience each other's personalities and know how to adapt to it in the right way.
Right.
So time goes long, and now we're getting married, and we still have not adapted to one another's personalities. I'm more of I want to fix the situation. I'm more of hey, let's just get right to it. I'm more of you know, if there's a concern, let's voice our concerns, but I want you to look at it in more of a logical way than an emotional way. And that's and we are different, because she is definitely phlegmatic and melancholy. So she's more of a laid back person, doesn't want confrontation. She doesn't want to address certain things, especially if it's coming off in a way where it seems like I was belittling her. But more so, I'm just trying to get my point across in the way that my personality would allow me to. So we've had a lot of issues within that realm of not understanding one another's personalities, but more so allowing the other person to talk and just waiting for them to talk until you. So I need you to understand it from my point of view. You know,
I love it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, please, by all means.
No, I love that you said that, because what I think is important for a lot of people to understand, for a extroverted personality style, so the sanguine and the choleric, those personality styles, we want to address things and get it over with, right? So the sanguine says, come on, I want to let's get, you know, through this, because I want to have fun, and I want to live my life, and I want to move on, and I don't want to have this stuff drag with us, right? The choleric says, listen, let's deal with it, let's put it behind us and move on, right? But the problem with this is that we are fast processors. So we process information really quickly. So if there's a problem, we identify the problem, we identify a solution, and we go ahead and move on with life. The introverts are slow processors. They process information slowly and methodically. And they're thinking about all the impacts that it's having, not only on them, but on you, on the family, on the culture, whatever. So they're thinking about that. And a lot of times us extroverts want an answer right away. We want an answer right away. But the melancholy and the phlegmatic can't give it to you like that. They have to think about it, process it, make sure it makes sense. You know, they're considering all factors before they give you an answer. And that's frustrating for the extroverts, because we need to move on. We need to resolve the issue and move through it and move on. Where the melancholy needs, and sometimes they even need to deal with whatever disappointment, hurt, anger, whatever. They need to process that before they can even get to the place of understanding how to move forward. And a lot of people don't recognize that. So that causes conflict in a relationship. So Herb, tell me about any of the obstacles that you faced in your marriage.
Yeah. So I would say for my wife and I, the kind of initial thing for us was combining our money accounts. That was huge. She's a very strong lady, a woman, And she had goals, before we got married. She was doing her own thing, when I met her. She had a house and some other things going for her at that time. So she had a good drive about her, so she was used to doing her thing with paying her bills the way she did it. I, on the other hand, was used to doing that for myself as well. I was paying my bills, I had a daughter fairly young. I had a daughter right out of high school. So I ended up having to do different things, to maintain, pay bills, different things like that.
Right.
So when we got married, it really was more of, okay, well, whose money is this? It's your money. That's my money. It's my account. That's where So we got to a point where we really were saying, well, we need to combine our accounts. Let's combine all of them. And it took some time, like we didn't fully commit to that until almost 2 years in, at least. And that's when we actually did start combining our money. We got to a point, even from a emotional side, we got to a point where my wife used to say, well, you don't express your feelings enough. You don't tell me how you feel. Whereas for me, initially, I just really wasn't used to doing that.
Right.
Now I will say 7 years in, I probably expressed way too much now. Because even some of my male friends, they got a joke with me now where they say, well, oh, this Herb having his sensitive moment, because I do a lot more now than I used to. And a lot of that's just growth, growth and being family, different things like that. But that was one thing for my wife and I that was major, was the financial side, the expressing my emotion side, my feelings. One thing that even for us, when we did start, if we had an argument, initially I would react, immediately, no matter whether I was wrong and she was right, whatever the case was, I would react. Through different classes and teachings and things like that, I've learned to kind of calm down, and we've gotten to a place together now where we can both say to each other, like, hold on, I'm kind of, I don't want to react the wrong way to this. So let's revisit this in a couple hours. Sometimes it may even be a few days. Like we may legitimately set several days later to say, hey, let's have this conversation and we'll reconvene. Now, the catch with that, though, is making sure that you stick to your word and you go back to when you say you're going to do it. And that's something that we've done over time, but I did not start doing that initially.
Well, I can tell you, as a phlegmatics they don't really share their feelings anyway. Even if you were a woman, a phlegmatic, right? They're very, they keep to themselves and their thoughts are private. A lot of times phlegmatics have a lot of fears that people are going to reject them, that they don't respect them. So they don't want to really speak up. So a lot of times they think what they think, but they don't say what they think. The sanguine part of you is willing to share, but the phlegmatic has a hard time with that, opening up. But I also love that you brought that up, because it is also a male thing, because you guys weren't really taught how to emote, right? You were really taught, boy, you better shut that fuck. You better not be crying. You better not, you better man up, You weren't taught that it's okay for you to cry or be upset or hurt or disappointed. So I love that you brought that up, because I think that makes a difference in your relationships with your spouses.
Yeah. And I think to that point, I think for me, even growing up, and my dad always says it, but he didn't tell myself often that he loved me when I grew up, growing up. He was always there and he did things that I knew he loved me, but he didn't say it. And I noticed once I had my daughter, which again, this was not long after high school, maybe around 21, 22, our relationship changed and evolved a little bit better, where he started actually expressing himself more, man to man, and it was like, yes, he's my dad, he's my mentor and different things like that. But we almost built a friendship together too, which I think in turn made it easier for me to start expressing myself as a man to other people, because I felt like, hey, my dad could clearly tell me he loves me every day. If I tell it, we say we love each other all the time now. So I think a lot of that came, during that time for sure.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Okay, Bryson, what about you?
Yeah, man, I'm sitting here listening to Herb, and and it's so good because he hit on a couple of things for me. That's exactly where the challenge is for me and my wife. I think it was definitely communication, right, for us. That was like the biggest thing, and still probably is one of the biggest things within the marriage because of the lack of empathy on my end, because of the lack of sensitivity. It's hard for me sometimes to show that empathy, even when I don't intentionally mean to hurt her, right? My tone and how I come across, because I'm very stern and I can be blunt too. It immediately shuts her down, immediately shuts her down. And for her, like what her was saying, it could take a couple of days. Like she will be shut down for like a couple of days, and
Right.
then I'm not speaking into her love language at all. And when I try to come back and I try to act like we cool, she's like, nah, like we just got in an argument like a week ago.
Right.
When? Like I forgot about it.
Us Sanguines is over it. Us Sanguines want to have fun. What? You mad? You still mad?
Yeah. And it's like, and it's. I think that's been the biggest challenge is really trying to build trust within her, with how I handle her in my communication.
I love it.
I definitely would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges. One other challenge that she may not say, but for me, because we had my oldest daughter 2 years before we got married, and we had built a system that was more like a co-parenting system. When we came into the marriage, we literally came in with that mindset of, hey, you get her this day, I'll pick her up this day after work, you go handle whatever you got to handle and this and the third. And I think what happened was it kind of like, it didn't bring us together where we can come together and say, nah, this ain't how we should be doing this thing. Like It was almost like co-parenting within the marriage at first. And so I think a lot of that has to do with the communication, like I was talking about. I think, we were still in that point where we weren't realizing that, hey, we are together, like, married in one household, And so, yeah, I think communication, I would say, was definitely one of the biggest challenges that I've experienced with my wife, right?
Well, and I'm glad you brought up communication because I want to talk a bit about that because each of the personalities communicate differently in a relationship. And you were basically talking about that, because cholerics are curt and abrasive, right? We don't even know we're curt and abrasive. We talk with an authoritative tone, and we don't realize that we're hurting people's feelings. Sometimes I have to watch people rear back or they say, what? The way they respond to me, then I realize, oh, it sounds like that because that's not what I meant, right? And that happens all the time with choleric personalities. And if your spouse is a melancholy, they're super sensitive anyway. And so if you come at them the wrong way, you say something in a tone that sounds like it's degrading or it's hurtful or whatever, they get hurt, wounded, and it takes them a while to get over it. Where us Sanguines are saying, I can't believe you're still mad. Like that was 2 hours ago.
That's exactly how it is.
That was so yesterday.
It's to the point where she'll bring it up, and I'm like, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
And that's the other part of it, saying when we're forgetful. So it's like, what? We had a fight? You got mad over that? I'm confused. So, Brian, tell us how communication plays a part in your relationship with your wife.
To be quite honest and just transparent, it is probably the most focal point in our marriage because it is the part where we lack in the most, and that's because, number one, we are getting to a point in our marriage where we genuinely want to understand the other person. As before, we did not want to understand. It was more so, I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let you get what you say out. And I think I'm doing something because I'm sitting here taking notes and I'm not interrupting you. And I'm going to go ahead and let you finish. And, I'm going to say, hey, I respect what you're saying, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. and we're not necessarily trying to grasp what the other person is saying. And I know I can only speak for me, where I can honestly say that sometimes, I used to do wordplay where I'm going to try to make you fumble in your work
Oh, yes.
and in your communication, to the point where you don't even know how to respond because I'm hitting you with stuff that you necessarily don't understand.
Mhm.
You know, and it was and quite honest, it was more like manipulation in a sense.
Yes.
But and it was in a way where I could control the narrative.
Right.
And of course the other part of that, but on the other side, like her kind of touched on, where it gets to a point where in the communication where things like you compromise, hey, but then at what point does compromise turn into surrender? And it's like, hey, I'm sitting here trying to communicate. She's trying to communicate. She wants to talk about something, but I've shut down because you're not understanding what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
You're not even trying to, get it from my point of view. And now I've shut down for days, weeks, without talking to you about this or talking in general. And now that has created this big bubble of just awkwardness within the marriage, where it's caused a lot of strife. It's caused separation. It's caused us to spend a lot of time apart because the communication was not set on firm foundation. It wasn't set on an actual, hey, let's come back to this. What are we going to do when we disagree? How are we going to communicate even when we disagree? Are we going to come back to it? Are we going to respect each other and say, hey, you know what? I'm at a 10 right now. I don't want to talk about this no more. It was really none of that. It was just blatant silence. And sometimes we don't come back to it, but now all of those issues fester. So now we're getting so now we're getting to a point where, hey, I'm at a point where whatever conversation we have, I just want to listen, understand, and execute what it is you're trying to convey to me. Because her being a phlegmatic, like you stated, sometimes she doesn't need the answer. She just wants you to listen.
Whoo! Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get my husband in the room.
Oh no! Hey, look, I stand on the side of the brother, so I'm gonna renege on that one. So.
You have sometimes we don't need you to rescue us.
Yeah, and
I want you to hear.
I honestly, I had to learn that because I want to fix the issue, and sometimes it's not even with us; it's with things you're going through.
That's right.
But sometimes you just need the ear, and I wasn't. And a lot of times her words fell upon deaf ears.
Yeah.
Because I did not listen. Right. I was just trying to fix it so I didn't have to listen to it again.
Exactly. And so that's good for other people to know. That's a choleric trait, right? Cholerics are fixers. They're strategic. Remember, they're leaders. If you give me a problem, I'm going to give you a solution. My friends used to call me ABC 1, 2, 3 because they would say something else. Well, A, you could do this, or B, you could do that, or C, you could, before they could really get the thought out. I had 3 solutions every time.
Exactly.
And my husband and I are the same personality styles. I'm a sanguine choleric. He's a choleric sanguine, right? And so when you have that personality style that feels like you gave me a problem, I'm fixing it for you. No, sometimes your spouse just needs you to hear them and hear their heart. They may not even want you to do anything about it. They just want to express it, especially if they're an introvert. And sometimes they want to express it a long time. They need to express it.
You can be.
So, what about your communication? What about your communication?
Yeah, for my wife and I mean, we started to learn each other's love languages. We took a communication class some years ago, which was very helpful. But just being transparent, we deal with communication even now. We deal with it all the time. We're learning each other more, as time is going on and as our marriage is progressing. It used to be where we would be upset with each other and we would even go a night or two without even talking, whereas my wife honestly humbled me at a point where even times when she was wrong, or she wasn't wrong, I should say, she would come to me and say, "Oh, I'm sorry about that," just to like cool the tension. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she got to a point where she was really, and it's kind of cliche, but she really didn't want to go to bed angry.
Right.
For us, we had a lot of friends who spouses passed away. And so for us, that's always pretty big in our mind. Like, what if we did go to bed and we didn't wake up the next day together? Was it something we missed from the previous night? Was it even worth it? So that's been one thing that has helped us with our communication as well. And then we've gotten to a point where we do what we call couch time. So if it's really something major, we'll give each other the floor. Typically, ours is only 15 minutes or so because we have twins that's 5-year-old running around this house. So 15 minutes, you got the whole 15 minutes to say whatever you want to say, good, bad, or indifferent, whether that's about me, whether it's about work, life, anything. You got the 15 minutes. I'm quiet. If you want to speak on it after, you can. If not, you don't have to. And then you can speak on for your 15 minutes for whatever you want to speak on. And that's helped us a lot, just with communicating with each other.
I love it. I'm going to steal it from you. I would definitely steal it from you and put it in some of my trainings. I like that.
Very helpful.
Because I think it's really critical that we understand how we need to show up for our spouses in the area of communication. It's a rough place to be. My husband and I will be married 29 years next month.
Mm-hmm.
And we still struggle with communication sometimes. I realize he's choleric, I'm choleric, and sometimes when I'm doing stuff, especially when I'm busy doing things, and he comes in and interrupts, immediately I hit him with what? One of those kind of, what? Yeah, I don't know. Or it's always a short-tempered type of thing. And it's not because I feel any type of way about him or about his question or anything. It's just that he's interrupted my thought process. And I don't realize that I'm curtain abrasive.
Yeah.
So I have to say, baby, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did X, I said that. I didn't mean to say it like that. But we find ourselves, if we get mad with each other, within minutes, we're over it.
Yeah.
We don't stay mad. It's just not worth it. And I turned 62 this year. So I'm like you talking about friends dying and people. I'm not trying to live the rest of we have more years behind us than we have in front of us.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And because of that, I want our lives to be good. And I want us to be able to communicate and laugh. And, we're just in a great place in our marriage. And I just love it, Yeah.
And one thing, Karen, I'll say to the point of the conversation, if there's times when, especially when we do the couch time, if as this person on the back end of that conversation, if you're thinking of a response to what the person is saying, normally for us, at least, we're not listening. You know what I mean? So that's one thing to keep in mind too. If you use that, that's one thing to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I think that's critical. You know what I mean? Because most people are formulating an answer, which it absolutely means you're not listening because you just want to get your point across and you're not really allowing your spouse to communicate. And I always say, what you're thinking. So give that person a chance to say something. So you might learn something if you're listening to them instead of understanding your own thoughts. You already know what you're thinking. Okay, Bryson, let's give your communication and we're going to wrap up the show because I cannot believe our hour is almost up. Right. And if you guys are really into it, I would love to do a part 2 in November. If you're available, I'll pitch you some times.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
You can come back because we didn't get through half of the questions.
I said, we just scratched the surface for sure.
Right, exactly, right. All right, Bryson.
I think, man, so for me with the communication piece, man, I would say one of the things that I learned is your wife is your direct reflection of yourself, right? And I say that because when I would say things to my wife, right, and I'll try to hold her accountable, the first thing she'll say is, but you do the same thing, right? And at first it would get a little bit annoying, but then when you start to think about it, be like, and she'll actually provide the actual situation when I did it. It was like, you know what? I can't get through to you because you're gonna hit me with the same thing. Like you did the same thing. So you know what? I just need to stop doing whatever it is that I'm asking you to do. I need to check with myself first and see if I've done that before actually saying or asking you to stop doing it. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, I think that's one of the biggest things, like with me in communication with her, because it's like I want to, man, hold yourself accountable, but she doesn't receive that well, you know. And that's one of the things that I'm starting to kind of realize that, man, sometimes you just gotta take the hit, you know, Bryce, because you know it's not worth it sometimes. You know what I mean? Like Herb said, it really isn't worth it, because now with my wife, she gonna shut down for a couple of days. I'm gonna
Yeah.
forget about it. She gonna shut down. And I'm sorry, but when I come home after a long day, like I want to be able to have some companionship. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so,
Yes, I do know.
right, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, how was your day? No, don't talk to me.
We
You
know
know,
how you got those 4 children.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, you know, but
facts.
I think that's the biggest thing, man, is, you know, always checking yourself first before actually,
Yeah.
you know, trying to see if she's doing it or blaming her for something. And so that's the biggest thing, man. I'm just learning to be more sensitive with her.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And my daughter said, Herb, she must know you. Does my daughter know you, Brianna?
Oh, that's your daughter? Yes.
That's my
Yeah,
daughter.
we used to work together, actually. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
my baby girl.
Wow. Yeah, she's doing big things with her party planning and stuff. So
Yeah,
yes,
she's
yeah, I'm
doing big
familiar.
things.
Yep.
She's
Yeah.
doing big
Tell her I
things.
say hello.
That is so funny. I had no idea. And I saw her say, hey, what's up?
Wow.
All right. So you guys, what do you have? What's on the horizon for you all? Do you have any events coming up or anything like that? Or how can people stay in touch with you to find out, especially the guys, if they want to hear about HIT? How can they find out about it?
Yeah, so with HIT, I actually do it every other Thursday. What you can do is you can actually reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook at b.roche-inspires. And you can reach out, send me a DM, and you know, just send me your information, and I'll go ahead and I'll shoot you the link. It's a Zoom link. We do it every other Thursday at 7:45, and it's really fulfilling, man. These guys can tell you it really changed. It's changed me, as even the one that started. It's changed me a whole lot.
And you're on YouTube too, right?
I'm on YouTube, yeah. So I put it on YouTube, and yep. So we'll put it on YouTube, put it on all the platforms except yeah. I put it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as well. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Herbert and Bryant, you guys got anything on the horizon?
For me, it's just honestly, I would just love to see like-minded brothers like Herb and Bryson and so many others that are on HIT. That, you know, I really want to promote that, just to know, just so fellas can know that there's a safe space where they can talk, and it's a place of refuge, and, you know, where we all are like-minded. We're all just trying to uplift one another and just build off of one another. So for me, HIT is one of the biggest focuses right now for me, and just trying to, you know, get more people on there so we can, you know, just share the things that we are a part of, and actually, you know, impact homes and families and marriages, because it truly is. Honestly, it helped me get my marriage back together. You know, me and my wife were separated, so we became back together just through the encouragement of these fellas, and, you know, my local church, and, you know, platforms like this. So honestly, yeah, just definitely HIT.
Excellent. Herb, you have anything?
Yeah, as the guy said, I definitely HIT for sure. I'll be remiss if I don't mention MCC,
Yes.
also, which is through First Baptist Church of Glen Arden, under Reverend Skip. That's been a huge part of my life for the past 7 years. It stands for Men Connected in Christ. They meet every Monday, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Definitely, if you want to reach out, I'm on, I believe it's a Linktree. I'm on there at H. Ruffin Jr. I think we may have the link. You may be able to put the link in the bio, possibly. If not, but yeah, man, it's definitely HIT. It's been on. Bryce is doing great things over here. So
yeah, but like what Herb said, heard what you said. You know, at Glen Arden, they have some great resources. I too used to be a member of Glen Arden, and Minister Skip is still my mentor to this day. He actually helped me with starting that ministry. And so, man, if you can't HIT, then you go to MCC, wherever. But we need more men to be able to come together, seriously, because I've probably talked to 2 individuals within the last year that was dealing with anxiety, suicidal thoughts, these type of things, man. The pandemic really took a hit on us. So yeah, seriously.
It definitely did, emotionally and on personalities. I always, us extroverts, when we were in confinement, that we were like going bananas. The introverts were like, yeah, I get to nap, or I get to be by myself and keep you people away from me. But us extroverts lost our minds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you all for being on Personality Speaking, where the tea is always hot. I want to show a quick video about next week. Let me do that real quick. And that's going to be our show next week. But also, I want you guys to please pass the word around. I am doing a let me go back and do this again. Sorry. I'm doing a workshop for couples, especially newlywed couples under 10 years, but anybody can come that's married. It's called Building Forever, Exploring Personalities for a Stronger Marriage Connection. That's going to be on November the 4th from 12 to 2. It's just a 2-hour segment. I'll be there a little bit longer so you can have some Q&A if you want Q&A. We're going to have some light refreshments, some giveaways, and some fun. But it's the opportunity for couples to really have good dialogue about the things that really cause them difficulty in their relationships. So I hope that you pass the word on to your other married couple friends. If you guys want to come, please do. But that is there to help strengthen couples, because y'all know what God gave me is couples for life. Yeah. And that's what my goal is to help married couples stay married. Yeah. So again, thank you again for joining me on Personality Speaking, fellows. I will be reaching out to you after the show to try to connect with you maybe next month. November, because I'm booked all the way up to November. But to have you back on November so we can finish up this discussion, because I think it was a really good discussion. So thank you so much for coming back on.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
You're so welcome. So we'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Personality Speaking, where the tea is always hot. Good night, everybody, and I'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.